Hi, everybody. Welcome to this special place to be with God. Just like the place where you are right now, this is a special place to be with God. A place where we can talk to God and listen to God. The place where we tell the stories of God. And a place where we never have to hurry because we know that we have all the time we need. So let's start with our greeting. Peace be with you. And then your responses, and also with you. Today is the 25th Sunday after Pentecost. So ever since Pentecost, the Red Sunday, we have been counting the Sundays until we are now at the last Green Sunday. That means next Sunday is the beginning of Advent, the first Purple Sunday. So that's kind of exciting. I hope you're excited about that too. So I'm going to light our Christ candle, and I know that you could explain why we do this, but since I can't hear you, I will say that we light this candle to remind us that Christ is always with us, wherever we go and whatever we do, and especially when we gather together to worship God and to hear God's stories. So today's story takes place in the desert box. So before we are ready to hear that, I want you to settle in, take a deep breath and relax your bodies. And then we will sing Be Still and Know. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. So when we sing that song, we know it's time to hear one of God's stories. And today's story will be the last one in the desert box for a little while. And I know that you know that the reason we have the desert box is because so many of our stories take place in the desert. So we need a piece of it here to help us tell the stories. And the desert is a strange and a wild place. It can be really cold at nighttime. And then in the day, it's burning hot. And there is almost no water here. And not very much food either. And the desert is always changing. The wind blows and it shapes and it molds the sand. So the desert is never the same. This is the city of Jerusalem, the holy city of God. The people of God have lived in Jerusalem for quite a while now, many years. One day, a king from a faraway land came to Jerusalem, and he wanted the holy city for himself. So he and his army took it from the people of God. And they burned down the temple, the house of God, and they tore down the walls around the city. And the people of God were taken to a strange land. The land of Babylon. This was called being in exile. They could not go home. Eventually, a new king took over in the land of Babylon. And he decided to let the people, some of the people, go back to Jerusalem. So the first group of people went with Ezra. And they rebuilt the temple, the house of God. And then the king let a man named Nehemiah take another group to Jerusalem. And they rebuilt the walls around the holy city. And some people decided to stay in Babylon because it was no longer so strange. But most of the people went home to Jerusalem, and it was good to be home. And God's people sang and danced their praise and thanks to God. I wonder what it was like for the people of God when the temple was burned to the ground and the walls were torn down. And I wonder how it felt to be taken to a strange land and to be in exile and not allowed to go home. I wonder what life was like in Babylon. I wonder if God was with the people in Babylon. And if so, I wonder if God showed them a new way to live. There's lots of things to wonder about. I wonder why some people stayed in Babylon. I wonder how good it must have felt to return home. But I wonder if God showed them a new way to live in Jerusalem too. I wonder if God would ever show us a new way to live. Now I'm going to change the light to remind us that the light of Christ that was in one place at one time can now be in all places at all times, wherever we go. Amen.